everybody, my name is Larsen. This video is going to go over the basic things that you need to check out if you want to play a jazz blues in the key of F. So I'm going to do this in 4 choruses. The first chorus is just going to be some chord voicing so that you can play through the blues with comping it and you can hear what the harmony sounds like. The second chorus is going to be arpeggios of those chords so that you have somewhere to start when you're soloing. And once you can play soloing with the arpeggios and follow the harmony, then you can add some more notes by using some of the scale exercises. I'm covering that in the third chorus. And the fourth chorus is just a transcription of me improvising a solo using the material that I went over. If you want to learn more about jazz guitar, about improvising over chord changes, checking out some interesting arpeggios or scales, then subscribe to my channel. If you want to make sure not to miss anything, then click the little bell notification icon. Let's first have a look at the chord voicing so that we can come through a 12-bar blues. What you may notice here, if you're a little bit familiar with jazz voicings, is that I'm writing F7, and actually the voicing that I'm playing is an F7 with a 9. And the reason why I do that is because when we're thinking about the blues, you can actually add the colors and the extensions sort of to your own taste when you're comping. So I may play F7 with a 9, or I may play an F7, or I might play an F7 with a 13. That's not really something that you can tell, and it's not going to be written in the score, because that's up to how whoever's playing the chords is going to interpret that chord symbol. So for that reason, I'm just writing the simple basic chord, and then I'm choosing to interpret it with a 9 in this exercise. The next thing we need is some material that we can use when we're soloing over the 12-bar blues. And if you're playing a genre of music like jazz, where it's really useful to follow the changes when you're soloing, then one of the things you want to check out is the arpeggios of all the chords in the progression. So that's what I'm going to go over here in this chorus. And of course I put it into a chorus, so I'm just changing arpeggio once every bar. I'm not starting on the root of each of the arpeggios. And the reason why I'm not doing that is because I want to sort of cover the same area of the neck with all the arpeggios, so that you have different options and that you can easily move from one arpeggio to the next. I'm starting on the C with the F7 here. So my F7 arpeggio starts on C and doesn't get an F until the 3rd note. But that's because if I have to connect to the low B flat in the next arpeggio, then it's a good idea to just have the C close by, because otherwise I get this skip, and that's not really going to make for a nice melody. So for that reason I kept the arpeggios sort of in the same range, but not necessarily starting on the root. A good exercise for both checking out the scales and also connecting them to the form is to play them as a 1-octave scale exercise. In this case, that means that I'm playing them from the root until the 7th, and then I can play for the F7 this scale, so, and then I can just move that around and do the same thing for the B flat 7, so. And this is an exercise that you may or may not know already as something that Barry Harris uses a lot when he's teaching the scales that go with the chords over a standard. So this way of approaching a blues is really useful, just to have an idea about what all the scales sound like, and you're also still really connecting to the chords when you play it like this. So that exercise sounds like this. For these scales, I think the choices of scale are pretty obvious most of the time, because for the dominant chords, so it's an F7 Now F7 is the dominant in B flat major, so the scale that you want to use on this F7 is in fact a B flat major scale, but because we're playing it over an F7, I'm just playing it from F here, and that's what also fits the chord. You can also tell that it really spells out the arpeggio of the chord on the beat when I do it like this, because the only two scales that maybe needs a little bit of an explanation is, well, in the first case, we go to B flat 7, that's the same, B diminished. So the scale that I'm using here is really just using the same scale as what I'm using on the B flat 7, except that I take the B flat and move it up to a B. So that would be, first we have for the B flat 7, and then for the B diminished. And the scale that I'm really using for this B diminished is then the C harmonic minor scale. So, like this. And also for the D7, so I have a D7 with a flat 13 up here, because that's a D7 that's resolving to the G minor, so to a minor chord. Then I want to use a minor scale on it, and I'm using G harmonic minor, but I'm of course playing it from the D, so that's this scale. And that's also what you would call Phrygian major or Mixolydian flat 9, flat 13. That was a chorus of me soloing using the materials that I went over in this video, and as you can tell, you can easily play a pretty good jazz solo just using the basic material here. In fact, I think you'll find that if you start analyzing solos, then the really great solos are mostly done with the really basic things. It's not really about using all the hip scales and the strange extensions. It's really more about just playing some solid lines with the basic material that's already there. And I think almost any solo transcription that you're going to come across will tell you the same thing. So you want to work on it. If you want to work on soloing and on a jazz blues, then it's a good idea to really just start with the basic things and start with maybe trying to improvise just with the arpeggios and then adding the rest of the scale around it, because then you have sort of the arpeggio and then the diatonic leading notes around it, and that's a very solid way to create lines and to hear melody, and also for you to really get the sound of the changes into your ear, and that's going to help you play better solos in the long run. Is this the way that you're also approaching a progression like the 12-bar blues, so really digging into the arpeggios and the scales, or do you have another approach, so you're working maybe with pentatonic scales, or do you have another great exercise? If you do, then leave a comment. I know I'm really curious, and I'm pretty sure that if somebody's watching this video, then they're also interested in what you have to share. And also I think you'll find that if you're looking for other information on this, then check out the comments, because there's usually a lot of interesting stuff being shared down there. If you want to learn more about jazz guitar and this is the first time you see one of my videos, then subscribe to my channel. The videos that I publish here every week are on finding some solid methods and good strategies to check out all the great things about jazz guitar and improvising. If you like this video and you want to help me keep making videos, then check out my Patreon page. It's because of the support that I'm getting from my patrons that I can keep on publishing videos every week. I'm very grateful for that. And if you join us over on Patreon, I can also give you something in return for your support. That's about it for this week. Thank you for watching, and on to next week.